North Korea ratcheting up the rhetoric against the president today.
None other than Trump himself is on a suicide mission.
President Trump firing back, tweeting if he echoes thoughts of Little Rocket Man, they won't be around much longer.
He's wanting to confront our adversaries in a way that the previous administration has never done.
The Senate has just 1 week to bring a health care vote to the floor and get it passed.
The reason it's not dead is because it's not finished. The bill hasn't been completed.
Professional athletes blasting the president as he calls them out for protesting the national anthem and lack of patriotism.
Just kind of beneath, I think, a leader of a country to go that route. It's not what leaders do.
We need to start looking at this country and becoming patriots again, standing for the flag and what it means, and quite frankly, honoring the tradition of sports.
Doesn't matter what color you are when you're in Afghanistan and you get killed. You come back in red, white, and blue.
Mrs. Trump met with Team USA as they prepared for the 3rd annual Invictus Games.
You have given so much for your country. You truly are our heroes.
It's Sunday morning. We got a lot going on. And a lot of kneelers.
Yeah.
That's true.
And we got you on the couch again. Always good to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Our kneelers.
Yeah, let's keep it going.
They haven't. But come on, you're in good standing here at the Fox News Channel. Well, we are 5 hours away from kickoff of the NFL, which is all eyes will be on the gridiron this morning, for reasons different than play option passes and fake field goals. This is going to be because right before the game we do this thing in this country where we honor our flag and our traditions, and we sing the national anthem.
Yeah, and you put your hand over your heart, and you stand, and you respect the country, and you respect the flag. Well, the president started this conversation on Friday night in Alabama, where he said that the owners of the NFL should fire the players. If they're going to kneel and disrespect this country and what it stands for, they should be fired. So yesterday you had some reaction to that, but he's up this morning again tweeting. He's tripling down on this, right. And he says if NFL fans refuse to go to games until players stop disrespecting our flag and our country, you will see change take place fast. Fire or suspend. NFL attendance and ratings are way down. Boring games, yes, but many stay away because they love our country. League should back the U.S.
Effectively, the president this morning calling for a boycott, you might say, of fans of the NFL. Are you going to watch it? Are you going to attend? And if so, are you enabling this culture now that's giving players a platform to protest their country? But, there are some on the left who want even more kneeling, including former Representative Donna Edwards. She's a Democrat from Maryland, former Congresswoman. She tweeted this yesterday in response. She said, on Sunday, meaning today, I hope every NFL player takes a knee in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick against the white supremacist who squats in our White House.
Let's just set this up. So we have patriotism and activism playing out. The president put his finger on it. I have said that I am fascinated to see whether or not the networks go politically correct and choose not to show this moment before the game. And it's an interesting comment that we're paying attention to what happens before the players even take the field. That's another argument. But let me just throw one new thought out there, and that is this. Had the president not used such strong language, using the SOB, would he have garnered the reaction that we've had from all of these players? Stephen Curry, it's gone to the NBA, it's gone to the Major League. In fact, we had Bruce Maxwell kneeling near home plate at the Oakland A's game last night.
Yeah, I mean, strong language invokes strong reaction. Either way, though, he still had made the call, using that language or not. Hey, these are owners who have an opportunity to say, you're fired if you won't stand for my team. Well, one guy who isn't a player on a sports team, but is an entertainer, is Stevie Wonder. He was at the Global Citizen Festival. I'm still waiting to find out what global citizenship is. Email me at friends@foxnews.com if you know what it is. But he was at that festival and decided to make his own protest. Take a watch.
Tonight, I'm taking a knee for America. Just one knee. I'm taking both knees.
Ooh, so now the question is, what's going to happen today? Because that was yesterday, and you've got some big games coming up this afternoon. Are we going to see more people kneeling on that field, more protests because of this? And you pointed this out, Griff. Where's the camera going to go? Is the camera going to focus on the game itself, on the American flag during the national anthem? Or like right here, is the camera going to focus on all the players that decide to kneel today? That's going to be a really tough decision for the NFL.
One of our viewers sent an email. Go ahead, Griff.
Well, and some of the teams, actually 12 teams, have put out statements, from the Seahawks to the Colts to the Bills to the Eagles to the 49ers, the
supporting
Dolphins,
the kneeling.
Giants. Yeah, giving some cover for the players. I don't know if you call that an encouragement, but it certainly says, hey.
Can I just point this out? Because the president has been tweeting out again this morning about how the ratings have gone down because of the kneeling. And we were talked earlier about Kaepernick. Where is he today? We're not going to be seeing him playing on the field at all in any games today. But there's a poll from July. This is according to a recent survey from J.D. Power, that the national anthem protests that originated with Kaepernick led to a list of reasons that people admitted they are now tuning out of watching the NFL, watching these games.
I think about it myself. I look at those 12 teams. Thankfully, my team, the Minnesota Vikings, is not one yet. But I'm going to tune in at 1 o'clock today when they play the Buccaneers. I don't think the Bucs are on there. And if a member of my Minnesota Vikings is taking a knee, I'm going to turn it off. Like, I don't want to see that. And I want a coach, I want an owner that respects their country, that believes in that won't enable that kind of stuff. I never thought I would ever say that. You can have islands of sanity inside the NFL because these are sovereign entities, individual teams that make their own choice.
And you making that choice as a consumer is exactly what this story is going to become, which is, and we're going to talk to Maria Bartiromo later in this show, and that is, what is the free market impact it's going to have? Because it's not only the NFL now, it's gone to the NBA. We reported yesterday that Stephen Curry was thinking about not going to the White House. He has a problem with this president. President Trump immediately tweeted, or 20 minutes later tweeted, oh, really? You don't want to come? Well, then you're disinvited. And then we're getting a reaction today. Stephen Curry, here's what he had to say.
We don't stand for basically what our president has, the things that he said and the things that that he hasn't said in the right times, that we won't stand for it. And by acting and not going, hopefully that will inspire some change when it comes to what we tolerate in this country and what is accepted and what we turn a blind eye to.
And you have some people coming to his defense. LeBron James, you could argue the best basketball player today that we watch.
Steph Curry would argue that he's the best.
Well, sure, we can let them have that debate on the side. But LeBron James went to Instagram, and he points out Jamil Hill, who was on ESPN, who called her own president a white supremacist and is still doing her job and hasn't really apologized for that. But he's backing her up, backing up Steph Curry. And here was his statement on that.
When I wake up, I see that, a colleague of mine has been uninvited of something that he said he didn't even want to go to in the first place, to the White House. That's just something I can't stand for, man. And we got, Jamil Hill and Colin Kaepernick and, all these people are speaking up, and, it's for the greater cause. It's for us to all come together. It's not about a division. It's not about dividing. We, as American people, need to actually just come together even more stronger, man, because this is a very critical time, and me being in the position I am, I had to voice this to y'all. So, love y'all, man.
I encourage, that was just 41 seconds. I encourage everyone to go look at the 2 minutes, because the 2 minutes is even more incoherent than those 41 seconds.
Or go on his Twitter feed where he calls the president a bum.
That's right. I mean, what is the cause? He says it's for the greater cause. What is the greater cause? That's an important part. And if he's saying come together, when you raise a fist or you take a knee, how is that not the divisive act to begin with? And that's the point this president makes. We've always united around a flag and a creed. That's our belief system. America is an idea. When you take a knee, you start to erode at the very foundation of that.
Well, and the division is linked to the disrespect. Yeah. And LeBron James calling the president a bum. A lot of people would argue that the president offended people when he used that strong language, as I mentioned. Would it have been the same reaction? But at the end of the day, are they missing the point? Right. The national anthem is a unity moment. Yeah. Before we compete against each other in the greatest of spirits, we honor that which we hold dearest, and that is the greatness of our nation. And we put our hand over our hearts and salute that flag for those that gave everything, the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. Are we missing the point? Are we moving away from the ball? And will people get back to it? I pointed out earlier, a few weeks ago, one of the players who people don't know that well, but he's a great tight end, Tyler Eifert of the Cincinnati Bengals, he did a a little essay a few weeks ago where he said, I stand because I love my country. Yeah. He has a cousin in the Air Force, and he put Pat Tillman, of course, the famous NFL player who was killed in Afghanistan, on his shoes in honor. Will we see more, Tyler?
Griff, you've been everywhere, right? I mean, Griff, where in the world is Griff is what we always say. You've been in Afghanistan, so you've seen firsthand the patriotism of our troops and why they know how serious it is to stand by our flag, because they fight for it every single day. But you've also been out on the streets with protesters. Oftentimes, you go up and you ask, what are you protesting for? What is this going to lead to? And that is what a lot of people are asking right now when you see these players kneel down on that field. What are you protesting? What are you so angry about? What do you want this to ultimately lead to? What change do you want? We had Kevin Jackson, the CEO of Black Sphere, on the show earlier this morning, and we asked him about the president being attacked for standing up for his feelings on this, and here was his reaction.
We have a president who's standing up for the flag in America, and we have leftists attacking him. We have young black kids who've gotten an opportunity to do something that people would dream to do, and they would happily stand with their hands over their heart to celebrate a nation that would allow that. And suddenly, the president is the bad guy, the sports are the bad guys, the white guys who hire these young black athletes in overwhelming numbers are the bad guys. You're not going to convince me of that, and America's not convinced. And I'm going to tell you something, it's going to reflect itself in the football ratings, which will be lower this Sunday, and ultimately in the NBA.
Yeah, and Abby, that's a good point. When I'm in the streets, as I was in St. Louis with Kevin, the people there are upset that there are policies they believe that impact people negatively along economic and racial lines. But what we're seeing in this kneeling, as you pointed out, Pete, a lot, is simply a way to insult the President of the United States and to carry out this fight.
And they lose the whatever legitimacy they have in it is lost in the fact that now we're not talking about that. We're talking about should we stand for our nation's anthem or not. That's a lot different. You look at the footwear of Tyler Eifert, who wore Pat Tillman's number and name on it. The footwear that Colin Kaepernick wore, just remember, was pigs depicted, or cops depicted as pigs. That's not a national conversation. That's just insulting. And you get that alongside kneeling for the anthem, and you understand why you.
Well, there are a lot of ways, by the way, to make a difference in this country. To your point, Griff, if that's something you're passionate about, if you feel like there needs to be change in this country, and you're one of these players, go be a mentor to the young kids coming up. Go teach them. Go help the next generation coming up come together to bridge this divide. So when we talk about kneeling, is that really the answer? Or does that give them more notoriety?
Yeah, and I don't get to protest at work. Why should they get to protest at work? What if you protested at work? Would you keep your job? I don't know.
Friends at foxnews.com.
Yeah, send us in your thoughts. We'll read them throughout the show. We do have some other headlines I want to bring you. The war of words between the U.S. and North Korea is intensifying overnight. President Trump firing back after a forceful speech by the communist country's foreign minister, tweeting this: if he echoes thoughts of Little Rocket Man, they won't be around much longer. The post comes just hours after North Korea's foreign minister told the UN hitting the U.S. with one of its missiles was inevitable. Also, this: Steve Bannon is traveling to Alabama campaigning against a Senate candidate endorsed by President Trump. The former White House advisor supporting Judge Roy Moore alongside Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty, where President Trump is supporting incumbent Senator Luther Strange. But Bannon says he's promoting the Trump agenda by opposing the senator. We heard that from Sarah Palin as well. It's not against Trump, but will be interesting to see what happens there. And First Lady Melania Trump wishing our heroes good luck before kicking off the Invictus Games. More than 550 wounded service members and veterans from 17 countries are competing in Toronto in sports ranging from wheelchair tennis to sitting volleyball. On her first solo trip, the First Lady met with the event's founder, Prince Harry of all people, and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I love the Invictus Games.
Justin from Canada. They are very cool.
Yeah.
A great way to, you find that sense of purpose for vets going forward. It's very helpful.
And that race in Alabama, that's a big one.
It is. We'll
watch that closely.
That's a big one.
All right, we move on now with a Fox News alert. The island of Puerto Rico devastated by Hurricane Maria. Our own Geraldo Rivera has been traveling overnight to get to that island, and he is there. He will join us live in just a few minutes.
In the effort to repeal and replace Obamacare appears to be on life support. Can the president convince Republican holdouts to get on board? We'll ask Chris Wallace about that coming up next.
Welcome back. Well, the Senate has less than a week now until the deadline to pass a last-ditch effort to repeal Obamacare. Can the president convince holdout Republicans to get on board, or is it dead? Here to weigh in, Fox News Sunday anchor Chris Wallace. Chris, I'm sure you've got a big show all about this morning. What do you think? Is it dead, or is there still some hope alive?
Well, it's, as they say in The Princess Bride, it's mostly dead. Obviously,
I love that movie.
Yeah, to have both Rand Paul and John McCain now coming out as firm no's, that reduces, it eliminates the margin for error. They could only afford to lose 2 votes. There are 2 no's. So now the question becomes, can they keep everybody else on board? And there are a number of senators, led by Susan Collins of Maine, who are leaning against it. The interesting thing is that yesterday on Fox News, Tom Price, the head of HHS, said they may try to make some changes to the bill to try to rally support, maybe to turn some of the no's around, certainly to keep the other 50 on board. We're going to be talking at the top of the hour with Mark Short. He is the head of legislative affairs for the White House, the guy who is counting the votes, figuring out, talking to all the legislators and their staffs, what it is possibly that can be done to try to save the bill. So we'll ask him about any last-minute changes to try to save. It's not fully repeal and replace, but something close to it.
Chris, the president was tweeting that he hopes Rand Paul comes along. What could the White House offer? What would Rand Paul be attracted to change his vote? And is that even a reality?
I think it's awfully hard. Paul has made it very clear what he wants, and you have to give him the courage of his convictions. He wants to repeal Obamacare. And one of the things that the Graham-Cassidy bill does is it keeps all of the Obamacare taxes and basically says to states, we're going to give you the money from the Obamacare taxes. You can do with it as you want. So far, at least, that has been a non-starter for Rand Paul, so we'll see if there's a change that could get him back on board.
Chris, in previewing your program today, who else is on the show?
Well, we have an exclusive interview with Bill Gates, obviously the co-founder of Microsoft, but for the purposes of this interview, the head of the Gates Foundation, I didn't know this, but the Gates Foundation is the largest private charitable fund in the world. It has given out $40 billion since it started in the year 2000 to more than 100 countries. It has saved literally millions of lives. We talked to Bill Gates about what it has done so far, the concerns because of President Trump trying to cut foreign aid for global health and development, about what's going to happen in the future. And I also asked him, and you'll find out, what kind of a smartphone he uses.
I can't wait to hear the answer to that one, Chris. We'll all be watching. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
All right, now to a Fox News alert and a dire situation in Puerto Rico still reeling in from Hurricane Maria. Geraldo Rivera has been traveling overnight to get there. I know this one is very close to him. He's going to join us live on the ground next.
And the President of the United States and the National Football League butting heads over anthem protesters. But what do Americans think? Griff left the couch and hit the streets to find out.
You're gone. You're gone. Respect our nation. Look at this money they're making here. You know, only in America you can make that kind of money. Respect it.
We are back with a Fox News alert. President Trump stepping up efforts to help in Puerto Rico just days after a historic Category 4 hurricane slammed the island.
Federal aid pouring in for Hurricane Maria victims, along with nearly 2 million gallons of water, 23,000 cots, and dozens of generators.
Geraldo Rivera is live in Puerto Rico, taking a closer look at the devastation left behind. Geraldo, what do you see?
Well, Griff, we flew overnight with the Georgia Air National Guard. The Georgia Guard is coordinating all the relief. First of all, behind me is the big San Juan Airport. You're used to seeing this facility, which is a hub for the entire Caribbean, bustling with hundreds of flights every day. There are absolutely no commercial flights whatsoever. It is just military and some relief flights coming in. What I see personally, just on the ride from the airport here to the Isla Verde, the tourist section, which is very close to the airport, you see buildings that have had their facades shredded by the storm, broken palm trees, and almost no traffic on the streets. Gasoline is in urgent need here. The islanders are lining up 4, 5, 6 hours with a $40 maximum. I've spoken with my own family. They have stocked up on food and fuel and water, but they are running out. Even the most prudent families need resupply. What happens here is totally a function of the relief effort from outside. Puerto Rico is stricken. This island of 3.4 million people, from one side to the other, from top to bottom, is in dire need. Before we left, we came on a cargo aircraft because, as I said, there are no private airplanes. I spoke to the commander of the Georgia Air National Guard. General Jeff Simmons, is the man in charge of coordinating the enormous relief effort that really is just now getting mounted. Here is General Simmons.
This is what we do. We are trained for it, and unfortunately for us, we're getting good at it through experience. But they have to have some help down there, and we're happy to provide it, and that is our job to provide it. And we are just getting started. From the pallets of water and the MREs and the personnel, and we just had a group from FEMA go down for search and rescue. I think this is going to go on for quite a while.
That's Major General Jesse Simmons, the commander of the Georgia Air National Guard. You mentioned in the tease leading up to my segment, Pete, Abby, and Griff, that I have deep personal reasons for wanting to be here. You know, it's difficult getting here, and obviously the military is the only way in. But my dad, the late Cruz Rivera, one of 17 children, I have scores of first cousins here, many of whom we have been unable to contact. You know, some have said they're doing okay. Others we have not heard from at all. So we're going to tour the island. We're going to check on some of these relatives, see how they are faring, share with them some of the supplies that we have brought in. But this is a storm-stricken island. I don't know when Puerto Rico can recover, but this tourist mecca right now is a ghost town with people just huddling in their homes or their apartments. The concrete buildings did okay, but some of the back village areas are still in peril of flood. No electricity, obviously, and it will be months and months. Can you imagine a big civilization, 3.5 million people with no power, no water? The sanitation system is broken and screwed up. It is really a dire need that I can't emphasize enough, guys.
It is heartbreaking.
Worst case scenario down there.
Geraldo, I know there's a big delay, but just know that our thoughts and our prayers are with everyone in Puerto Rico and to your family. We hope everyone gets out of this thing safe and sound. It's great to have you there on the ground to get your perspective, Geraldo. Thanks so much.
All right. Everyone is talking about President Trump calling out national anthem protesters in Alabama on Friday. So Griff stopped outside a sports bar at Times Square to find out what Americans thought about what he said. Take a look.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a off the field right now, out, he's fired?
Should players be fired for taking a knee or not?
No, absolutely not.
Freedom of speech, First Amendment. You do what you feel is right. I think it's separation of church and state.
The only thing I hate about it is I hate keeping politics in my sports.
Hitting the crossroads of America, find out what people think about the NFL and taking a knee. What do you think about the NFL? Should players take a knee during the national anthem?
Absolutely not.
You don't like it?
No, sir.
I think that you should take a knee if you don't believe that America isn't working for you.
I agree with the president 100%, and it's not just the military that they're disrespecting, it's all of us Americans.
How do you feel about players in the NFL taking a knee during the national anthem?
I don't like it. I agree with him 100%.
He's ready to fire people.
Sure.
Fire them. You're gone. You're gone. Respect our nation. Look at this money they're making here. You know, only in America you can make that kind of money. Respect it.
I don't think the president should have said something like that. I think maybe he should be more presidential.
Honestly, I've never liked Colin Kaepernick from the day he entered the NFL when he started kissing his biceps. I thought Joe Montana has 4 Super Bowl rings, never kissed his biceps.
No, I don't like Kaepernick.
No.
No, I don't like that. No. I love America.
I think it's incredibly disrespectful that they take a knee during the national anthem.
Pete, you're going to be glad I found some Minnesotans, and you guys know world-famous Pete Hegseth in Minnesota.
Yes.
How do you feel about players taking a knee? Do you find it disrespectful? Are you okay with it?
Disrespectful, but I don't think they should be fired. They should be reprimanded by their coach.
Go Vikings! Go!
She loves Pete Hegseth.
Minnesota.
She doesn't like the kneeling.
No.
She's going to tune into the Vikings today.
But she loves Pete.
What happens?
We'll see. She has a great accent, too. Oh, yeah. Just
go Vikings.
Go Vikings, go.
Yours comes out every once in a while, and I love it.
Yeah, we can't take the guy to Minnesota, but not all the accent out. All right. Well, the president says the NFL owners should fire players protesting the national anthem. So is that legal, however? We'll ask Greg Jarrett straight ahead.
And while the president pushes to repeal Obamacare, he's also working with Republicans on tax reform. Some big cuts could be coming. David Bossie here to discuss it, coming up next.
For President Trump, president of Citizens United and Fox News contributor.
He's rocking.
David, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, you guys have the best music. That's great.
We really do. We really try to match it with sort of the theme of the morning or the news that's going on. Your thoughts on waking up this morning? The president has been tripling down on how he feels about athletes kneeling during the NFL games. What are your thoughts to what he's saying and how athletes, celebrities, and many of the left-wing activists have now responded?
I'm with the president on this. This is exactly where the president should be. I think it's where the vast majority of the American people are. You look at this. Hillary Clinton called most people who are ticket holders, who are the people who attend these games, deplorable. Okay? That's who buys these tickets, the basket of deplorables, let's say it. So President Trump understands that the stadium is filled with proud Americans. And by the way, you know, these people, they say they wear a uniform, these football players, they don't wear a uniform, they wear a costume. Let's call it what it is. Men and women in the military wear a uniform to protect these people wearing a costume and their free speech rights. I agree with their ability to have free speech. I agree with their ability to tell America what they believe. But they shouldn't be able to do it with a captive audience of 80,000 people in a stadium when they are an employee of the NFL.
David, let me ask you a question, though. Bob Kraft, the Patriots owner, saying that he is deeply disappointed by the tone of the comments made by the president on Friday. You know, the president just came off a very significant UN speech where he was very blunt with North Korea. Did the president go too far this time? Was his tone too much, making a point, as you said, saying what everyone feels, but did he go too far? Was it a mistake?
Guys, this is why the president won. The American people are tired of the political correctness, the political correct speak that goes on in Washington, and it's why they're upset with what's going on in Washington for years. It's the reason he got elected. This guy speaks truth to power. That's what he has been doing, that's what he continues to do, and that's what he's going to do for the next several years as president of the United States.
David, I think your comment and political correctness is spot on. I mean, the interesting part about Bob Kraft, however, is he is a proud supporter of President Trump, has been, also the Patriots owner. We're going to read the full statement that he put out. 12 other teams have put out statements pushing back against the president. This appears to be the 13th or something like that. Just minutes ago, they put this out. He says, I'm deeply disappointed by the tone of the comments made by the president on Friday. I am proud to be associated with so many players who make such tremendous contributions in proactively impacting our communities. There's no greater unifier in our country than sports. And unfortunately, nothing more divisive than politics. I support their right to peacefully affect social change and raise awareness in a manner that they feel is most impactful. We heard the same thing from Roger Goodell, David. He said, where's the respect for the NFL? And I think most Americans say, where's the respect for our flag?
The president is an enormous sports fan. I think everybody knows that. He loves golf. He loves football. He loves the purity of the game. But he also appreciates what these people do in their communities. He wasn't talking about that. He's talking about these left-wing agitators who for 8 years, when President Obama was president of the United States, did nothing to help their cause. And that's maybe the frustration that these players are feeling, that Obama failed them, and that President Trump inherited what is going on today. He didn't create this, but he is speaking truth about it, and that's what they don't like. They don't like being called out. Colin Kaepernick is quite arguably not talented enough to play in the NFL, but yet he is wearing this costume around, kissing his biceps, making himself into Superman when he in fact can't complete a pass, and that's why he's not playing in the NFL. And so, look, there's other players who are going to take a knee and do all these things to get attention for themselves and for what they believe in their cause. I just say, as a 20-plus year season ticket holder in the NFL, I don't like it, and I can tell you I'd like to burn my tickets when I see it.
Yeah, quickly, what's going to happen today, right? Because people are going to be watching these games closely. I'm assuming there are going to be many more that decide to kneel. What does the NFL do? Because they have struggled with ratings going down, as the president has tweeted. People admitting they're not watching because of the kneeling. What does the NFL do about this?
You know, that's the thing. These NFL players have their right to speak, and so do NFL patrons, the ticket holders, the season ticket holders like myself, the people who go to the games. They can speak with their wallets, and the NFL will understand one thing, and that's what the president was saying. Let's speak with our wallets. They want to kneel. We could tell them we don't appreciate the disrespect to those who have died in service to this great nation by their kneeling and disrespecting our flag and our national anthem.
That's going to be the interesting part. Economic consequences hurt the most and are the most effective.
We need it. We need it.
Yeah. David Bossie, thanks for your clarity
David,
this morning.
Good to see you. Have a good
Go
Sunday.
Redskins.
Bringing it. You can go back to dancing now. Thank you. There it is.
All right, still ahead on the show. Newt Gingrich, my home senator, Michael Lee of Utah, and our panel of former NFL players, Nate Boyer, Burgess Owens, and A.C. Tillerson, all live on the show.
And the president says NFL owners should fire players protesting the national anthem. We've been talking about it all morning. But is that a legal move? We're going to ask someone who knows a little bit about the law. Greg Jarrett, next.